Welcome to Take 5, your 5-minute inspirational message from Solid Rock, Drogheda. The Olympics are just about over now. All the publicity, all the hype, all the wall-to-wall media coverage, medals awarded, records broken, all the rest of it. Athletes at their peak physical condition, trying to go faster, trying to jump higher, trying to defeat the opposition. Sometimes it's not just about physical fitness. Sometimes it's about what's going on inside people's heads as well. That's why sports psychology has come to have a bigger and bigger role. And perhaps one of the prime examples of this is what happened a number of years back with the British 4x100 metres relay team, the women. Now, the thing about the relay race is, it's not just how fast you can run, because you got to do the changeovers right, and a team's got to be used to working together. They've got to have the confidence to do that changeover quickly and efficiently and in the right place, because you're in a box, a changeover box, and whenever the one runner is coming to the end of their race, handing over to the next one at the beginning of their race, if you hand over that baton too early, you're disqualified. If you leave it too late, you're disqualified as well. It's got to be done just right. And the British women, back in 2012 in the European Championships, they were disqualified in the heats. They got the changeovers wrong. And that meant they dropped to 17th place in the world rankings. Well, look, when you're already well down the rankings anyway, you're not going to be in the top three. So, why would we be that worried about that? Well, here's the deal. The Olympics that summer were going to be in 2012, were going to be in London. And only the top 16 world ranked teams could compete, which meant that the British women were not able to compete in the relay race in their home Olympics in London. It was considered the low point for that team in that sport. And the UK head coach at the time, he said this was an accident waiting to happen. I'm not really surprised. It's the reason why I stopped funding the programme 2 years ago. In fact, 2 years ago, when they'd also failed during the heats of another European Championship, that same UK athletics coach had publicly attacked and belittled the women's team for their failure, shouted at them in the hotel lobby while other athletes, journalists and that were there, accusing them of schoolgirl mistakes and telling them how useless they were. And he stopped funding the programme. As a result of the lack of funding, they didn't have the opportunity to compete in as many, run together and race together and practice together. It got to the stage where the fastest women runners didn't even want to be on the relay team because morale was so bad. And the end result was they crashed out in 2012 in the European Championships and didn't even get to compete in the home Olympics in London. Then there was a turnaround. What happened was younger athletes came in and there was a change in the management. The coach himself, he lost his job because he'd set himself a medals target, boasted how he would achieve it and didn't manage it. And so under a new coach and younger athletes coming in, their mindset began to change. They began to believe that they could do it and really turned things around. They began winning medals, winning different trophies, including medals in the Olympics, right up at the last Olympics in Tokyo. Because now, it wasn't that they'd become faster, but they'd begun to believe in themselves again. They'd been let down by a leadership that destroyed their confidence instead of experiencing good leadership that would build up their confidence. Now they had good leadership again. Now they got things together and they became a force to be reckoned with in world athletics once more. How we see ourselves will be crucial to how other people see us. In the Bible, in the book of Numbers, you had the people of Israel. They sent spies into the promised land to see how they could best take the land. Now, the spies were not sent in to decide whether to go into the promised land or not. That was supposed to be decided. God had already commanded them they were to go into the promised land. So this was not like a do we go or do we not thing. This was about to go in and just get the info, get the intel, know how best to conquer that land. But the spies brought back a bad report. They said, we saw giants in the land. And they used a very telling phrase. They said, these giants are so big, we felt like grasshoppers in our own sight, and we looked the same to them. I want to tell you, if you see yourself as being useless, then don't be surprised if other people see you as being useless. Don't be surprised if you fail at the things you set out to do, because the way you look at yourself will determine how you do. It will determine how other people look at you. The women athletes from that relay team, they discovered that because they had not been encouraged to look at themselves in a good way, they ended up with a failure mentality. And because they had a failure mentality, they ended up with a record of failure in the races that they ran. God says you are chosen. You belong to him. You're precious in his sight. He's called you. He's anointed you. And that which he has for you to do, he will equip you for the task in Jesus' name. You are not grasshoppers in your own sight, and don't you dare be grasshoppers in anyone else's sight. But go out, do what God has called you to do, be the person God has called you to be. And you know what? You can go for gold in Jesus' name. God bless you, and join us again tomorrow for another Take 5, your 5-minute inspirational message from Solid Rock, Drogheda.